Daniel Craig's about to hang up the tuxedo after his final outing as James Bond in No Time to Die, so it's time to bring up the age-old debate. Who is the best James Bond? Is Daniel Craig the best Bond?
Yes. It's hard because I feel like everyone is very attached to their Bond. Like everyone has the Bond that they grew up with. And
I have an affection for Pierce Brosnan.
See, I also have an affection for Pierce Brosnan.
I'm going to co-sign that as well.
Yeah?
And I think the thing with Pierce Brosnan is that I don't know if the movies really lived up to him
I agree.
as a Bond. Because
no one has come close to looking more like Bond in my eyes than at the beginning of GoldenEye when he slinks out of that bathroom door and down the stairs and he turns a corner holding the gun, just sneaking, looking just what's behind it.
Yeah.
That to me is like, that's Bond. That's the epitome of James Bond for me.
And he'd sort of picked little elements from all the previous Bonds. So he had sort of the he could be cheesy like Roger Moore when he needed to be, but also there was something a bit sinister about him. So he had a bit of the Sean Connery thing and the Timothy Dalton edge.
He's got a very scary, angry face as Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, and he could
cold.
flip from both sides. So he could be like the quite menacing Bond of Ian Fleming's novels, but then also he could drive a tank around and it was fun.
Do you not think that Bond is a bit like Batman? Like there is no canonical Bond. Mm-hmm. You can have the cheesy, campy version, like the sort of Adam West, Roger Moore one, and you can have the ultra serious, ultra dark version, and they're all kind of just James Bond.
It's just pick your poison.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, and it is, and even like between films with the same Bond, the tone will start changing. But I think if I had to pick one, like not voting with my heart, it would be Daniel Craig, because I think that the fact that he was so passionate about going back to the books and being like, okay, what was Ian Fleming talking about? Because the Bond in the books is well, Ian Fleming described him as a blunt instrument, which I find interesting because in Casino Royale, that's exactly what M describes him as. And that is very much like the accurate version of the character. And I think the best version of the character as well, because it helps you sort of look past the problems with Bond, because you go, well, actually, he's not that nice a guy. So that's why he does all those things that we don't like him doing.
Yeah, I think that Casino Royale especially gives a more sort of rounded look at what sort of person ends up doing this type of job and why.
Yeah, and what's interesting about Daniel Craig is that he took a lot of inspiration from, when he did Munich, and he was researching by talking to actual secret agents and SS people, and he was looking at their psychology and how they acted, and the fact that every time they went into a room, they would be checking the exits and were always on edge, always ready to defend themselves. And he went, okay, I'm going to make my Bond like that, which is very different from anything that came before.
Who do we think should play the next James Bond? Anybody got anybody in mind that would be good for it?
I think genuinely they should pause.
Oh, yeah.
Stop making them for a while and do a spin-off with like whatever Lashana Lynch's character is. Like do another character, because I don't think enough culturally has changed in between Casino Royale and now that a new Bond is going to make sense and be like, oh, this one's completely different and we're doing something different. I think just put a pause on it, do something else, and then come back and we'll think about it.
I think they should just do another James Bond. I mean, whether it's Daniel Craig or someone else, I still think they should do another one. The Lashana Lynch thing, I would be with that, but I don't feel like you need to pause James Bond to do that. You could just do both. You could make it a story where halfway through the James Bond movie, the next Bond movie, you see her actively going off and her movie starts from that second she leaves that room. I feel like doing something interconnected like that, and then, looking at Marvel and DC and that kind of stuff is a better way to go, instead of just throwing that movie out there on its own and then having a whole bunch of angry men downvote the movie when you can just make everyone happy. That was a joke. I don't know.
They 100% would. You're
no, I know,
right.
but that's, what I'm
So
saying.
they don't deserve to be happy.
That's why I don't think you should just do it that way. And I feel like Bond should always live on. And I would like them to go with someone like, not necessarily Benedict Cumberbatch, but someone in that vein, someone who is totally different.
I want to see Tom Hiddleston do it, set in the 60s.
Or Tom Hiddleston, Benedict Cumberbatch. Yeah,
Hiddleston would be a
same
good
guy.
choice. Yeah, yeah. I have to confess here, I do like Casino Royale. I do think it's a well-made film. I don't like Bond, and I'm very much on record, so I'm not going to lie about this. I very much I hate the way that it takes over a film conversation in this country for months at a time. They're like, oh my God, second guy on the right in the third scene has just been cast, and he's on the cover of newspapers and stuff. I'm like, I just please calm down, everybody. So I don't have a lot of time for this whole massive Bond conversation, and therefore self-servingly I would go with Clarice's suggestion and just put him aside for a little bit and just give us all a break.
Speaking of, though, I would like Robert Pattinson to play both Batman and James Bond.
He'd be good, he would be really kind of subversive. I would be up for that.
If you want to watch more of the screen test, you can watch the full version of this episode right now. Click the link in the description below to see who is cinema's greatest secret agent between James Bond, Ethan Hunt, and Jason Bourne. The three biggies. Who else is going to be in there? That's it, innit? Plus, you could listen to this if you want to. Just search the screen test wherever you get your podcast. It's on all podcast providers.